Hi and welcome to Great Getaways, where we've got an exciting show for you today when we travel to the Great Lakes Bay region waterways. Now that's a lot of water. We're talking rivers, inland lakes, and of course the big waters of the Saginaw Bay. I'll be working with Wendy Scott from the Great Lakes Bay region. She said, meet me up to the outfitters. I need to pick a couple of things up to take along. I see she's over here in the fishing equipment, so why don't we go over there, find out more about what this is all about. Well, hi there, Wendy.
Well, hi, Tom.
I thought you said you were going to pick up a few things.
Well, we're going to need all this. I hope you brought your credit card with you, because we're going to have a fun day in the Great Lakes Bay Waterway.
Well, good. What are we going to be doing?
Well, first of all, we got to get you a rod that fits your hand.
It's a great limit bass rod and fluger reel.
Excellent, excellent. And boy, it does feel good. It's got a nice weight to it. I'm anxious to get out there and do a little bit of fishing, but what's all the other stuff you've got in the cart?
Oh, Tom, there's so much to do in the Great Lakes Bay Waterway. And we're going to start out going fishing, and then we're going kayaking, and then we're going to see some sailboats, and also bird watching on the refuge. We got a big day planned ahead of us.
Oh, it sounds like fun. I see you got all the equipment then ready. What do you say we get this up and check it out and get going?
Let's go.
Located in Michigan's Mitten at the base of the thumb, the region encompasses the Saginaw watershed, with many of its rivers, reservoirs, and lakes converging into Lake Huron at Saginaw Bay, where you can go from standing knee-deep in a stream for fly fishing or paddling the rivers to launching your watercraft for a day of boating and fishing. It's home to such unique opportunities as cruising on the sparkling waters of Lake Huron on a tall ship or learning to pilot a sailboat on your own. We'll get started on our waterway journey at one of Midland's most popular recreation spots, Sanford Lake. Sanford Lake is a popular recreation spot in Midland County. There are usually glowing fishing reports from the local anglers and tournament fishermen. What could be better than a day fishing on sparkling Sanford Lake?
Sanford Lake's a big lake, and if it's your first time coming out to it, you really need to try and dissect it. You need to read it like a river. You want to try and find your edges, you want to try and find where water may flow into a bank, you want to try and look for structure, try and find some wood, some stumps, some gravel, that kind of thing. Largemouths are out here, there's muskies out here, and the muskies in here typically are quite large. I mean, you may not find the big numbers of them, but the ones that you find are typically quite good fish. Crappies, bluegills, catfish, there's also your odd species too, there's your normal chubs and your suckers and that kind of thing, which are native to our waters around here.
Access to Sanford Lake is from the public launch at Sanford Lake Park. The lake is popular because of the large size of the largemouth and smallmouth bass inhabiting the lake. Heading out on a high-speed bass boat with Brian Darling, we learn about fishing in the open tournament on the lake. The number of fishing tournaments hosted on Sanford Lake means great fun for the professional, recreational, and traditional fishermen. The tourneys range from walleye, catfish, and bass to open tournaments run throughout the season. This is a phenomenal bass fishing lake. An average bag weight in bass tournaments is 20 pounds, making the average size bass taken at around 4 pounds. And Bob proves that with this great catch.
Nope, you're good. There we go. There we go. Get in there. Nice fish, Bob. Good job. Good job. That's what we're looking for. That right there is a quality Sanford Lake fish. Look at that. That fish will go almost 4 pounds right there. Good fish, Bob. Nice job.
Whether you're a novice fisherman or a seasoned pro, you'll find fishing to be exciting on Sanford Lake. You'll be impressed with the number of times you feel the pull on the line and a great catch. Another way to enjoy the waterways of the Great Lakes Bay is kayaking. Our host Wendy Scott of the Great Lakes Bay Region CVB put together a great kayaking trip that would take us from the Chippewa Nature Center meandering down the Chippewa River until we end at the Tridge, a three-way wooden footbridge spanning the confluence of the Chippewa and Tittabawassee Rivers near downtown Midland.
We have 2 launches here on site at the Nature Center. We actually have property a few miles upstream, so if you put your canoe or kayak in, it's a handicapped accessible launch, one of 3 in Midland County, and you can put your boat in there and come down to our main property here at Chippewa Nature Center. It's about a 2-hour trip to do that, about 7 miles or so. If you put in here, you can make your way down to the Tridge or downtown Midland for about another hour or so, about 3 or 4 miles from here to there.
One of our goals is to get people onto the local rivers. It's such a major ecosystem that we have here. When people drive to work, there's so many streams and creeks and rivers that they drive over, but not a lot of people take the time necessarily to get into the river and get a perspective of the land from a kayak or a canoe.
You can go day tripping down the river in your own kayak or rent one from the area outfitter, Ike's Mobile Kayaking Rental, owned and operated by Glenn Eisenhart.
We've led kayak and canoe trips for over 12 years here at the Nature Center, and we've had hundreds and hundreds of folks that we've taken out, but there's always been a bit more demand than we've been able to really keep up with. And so with Glenn, with Ike's Mobile Kayaks, it's been really great. There's someone who shares our vision of what we want people to do on the river, which is, enjoy it in a respectful fashion, understand the environment that you're paddling through, and so it's been really great to see more folks on the river.
This is a nice, easy float since no portages are required. The river flows about 5 miles an hour, and kayaking gives you the feeling of flying down the river. It's a great way to explore the waterway, and at the same time, it is so relaxing. Meandering down the river, keep your eyes open to spot some of the wildlife that calls the river home. Or look skyward to observe eagles or ospreys soaring overhead. While floating past untouched woods and the few homes along the river, look for fish and turtles in the clear waters. You might even get to experience entertainment like this young fellow as he leapt into the water off his rope swing. It is exciting to see the iconic Tridge come into view. As the day on the river comes to an end, the paddlers come to the universally accessible dock. This dock allows river enthusiasts of all abilities and ages to experience the beauty of the Chippewa and Tittabawassee rivers where they have not been able to in the past. It's great to take to the water in the spring, summer, and fall of the year. The launches close in October, but Glenn will take groups past October into the winter. Tom now takes us to Freeland for its fun Walleye Festival. The annual Freeland Walleye Festival is centered on fishing, but there is something for everyone. Sponsored by the Freeland Lions Club, it's held around the opening of walleye season on inland lakes after the fish are done spawning. The contest starts the minute after midnight of opening day. It has not been hard to find anglers eager to show their prize catches as we stop where they are weighed and measured. It's quite the experience for the novice angler as well as Old Pro to proudly display their walleye on stringers or in coolers. This is a family-friendly festival, and young anglers enjoy trying their hand in the contest at the fishing pond. To get a close-up view of the natural waterways, we're going on a guided eco-tour.
Hi, we're on a trip with Johnny Panther Quest Adventure Trips in the Shiawassee Refuge. Come in for 3 to 5 hours. You're going to see a lot of eagles, egrets, maybe an occasional deer, beaver. You can see all kinds of wild animals. And for bird watchers, bring your binoculars and your cameras. You're going to see a lot of stuff out here.
This is one of the richest wildlife habitats in Michigan's Lower Peninsula that anyone can have the pleasure of navigating through.
This is part of the largest watershed in the state of Michigan, and they call it the Shiawassee Flats. This whole area was once underneath a huge lake 10,000 years ago. Once the water receded, it left behind all this flat area which was once underwater, hence the Shiawassee Flats.
The river is surrounded by a diverse stand of hardwoods, and its unspoiled beauty is evident.
When you come out with me, I supply a cooler, ice, and a bag of pistachios. Bring whatever you like to put in the cooler. Bring your own cooler. Picnic baskets, cameras, and binoculars are highly recommended.
It's a new adventure around each bend in the river, and exciting to sight a bald eagle watching from the trees and hear and observe the geese flying home overhead. For a bit of history, there is another way to enjoy the waterways. Let's go on board the Bavarian Belle riverboat. Who knew you could board and ride an authentic stern-driven paddle wheel riverboat right here in Michigan? Board the fully restored 150-passenger boat at the dock by the waterfall at River Place Shopping Village and get ready for a tour down the Cass River. The captain guides the vessel down the waterway, and passengers are treated to the 1-hour informative and entertaining historical tour narrated by the captain and crew that provides you with a lot of details about the Frankenmuth area. Quite often you will be cheered on by the local waterfowl. Or are they asking for more popcorn? Captain Jen Quinn and his sons Stan and Mitch, who also captain the Belle, tell the story of how they got the boat up to Frankenmuth and into the river. That alone is worth the price of admission. Whether from the lower enclosed deck or upper deck, this is a true pure Michigan experience on the waterways of the Great Lakes Bay. Another vessel that appears on the horizon of the water of the Great Lakes Bay are the tall ships. Guaranteed to take your breath away are the majestic tall ships that come down the Saginaw River just like they did more than 100 years ago. Their billowing sails and intricate rigging put me in awe, and the thousands of visitors anxious to share in the experience as well. Through interactive deck tours, international maritime music, hands-on children's crafts, excursions, reenactments, and live performances, Bay City becomes the hub for tall ship activity, expertise, and information in North America. Bay City is proud of its maritime heritage and has been a proud host of the Tall Ships Challenge when it comes to the Great Lakes. Docked in downtown Bay City, Michigan, the Princess, Winona, and Islander offer public tours and cruises for residents and visitors, as well as private charter service for all types of events on the Saginaw River and Saginaw Bay. Together, the Islander and the Winona carry over 300 passengers, and this was a great way to tour the Tall Ships celebration as we sat back, relaxed, and enjoyed the history of the great schooners from around the world in the comfort of these great touring vessels. Or maybe you have speed and power coursing through your veins. The River Roar will satisfy you. The Saginaw River becomes a thrilling racecourse during the annual Bay City River Roar. The Formula 1, 2, and light boats look futuristic, and when their supercharged engines are opened full throttle, you know why it's called the River Roar.
These boats run about 9,000 RPMs. They do up to 140 miles an hour. Just really unbelievable to see. Basically nothing in the water except for the prop of the boat.
The river is a challenging course for drivers because the water hits the brake wall and makes it rough. But it's great for spectators because they can view the races from both sides of the river. The races run for 45 minutes, so that's a fairly long run for boat races.
Usually one lap takes, normally they try to set the course so it takes about 32 seconds to complete a lap.
Thousands come to this family-oriented event every year. Admission is free on both sides of the river, but attendees are encouraged to bring a can of food to donate to Hidden Harvest. We are ready for another unique experience on the Great Lakes waterways, an excursion aboard the tall ship Appledore.
There aren't many communities in the United States that can boast that they are home to 2 tall ships. Here in Bay City we have both the Appledore 4 and the Appledore 5. You can experience 2 different things aboard this tall ship. First, you can learn what it's like to be on a tall ship and sail on a wide open water area. And second, you can go on a dinner cruise and watch the sunset on the beautiful Saginaw Bay.
Our hosts, the Bay Sail Company, promotes environmental stewardship of the Saginaw Bay and the Great Lakes through experiences aboard its 2 schooners, the Appledore 4 and Appledore 5. As we approach the Appledore 4, we notice it is a steel-hulled gaff-rigged schooner that is very similar to the ships that worked the Great Lakes 100 years ago. Built around 1990, the ship employs modern techniques to provide an old-world experience. This cruise, the Stargazer Dinner Cruise, started about 8 p.m. A gourmet meal with a choice of fresh salads, a delicious pineapple and chicken dinner, choice of vegetable and dessert was served on the bow. There were delightful choices, and we enjoyed the dinner with our friends and crew. As night falls, the special live program began. Astronomers from the Delta College Planetarium helped us view constellations as we listened to star legends, learned to navigate by the stars, heard the words of poets, and enjoyed the beauty of the night sky under sail. It's time to head out to Saginaw Bay for some great walleye fishing with Mark Martin.
Hello, I'm Mark Martin. We're fishing on Saginaw Bay, one of my favorite places to come and go fish because there's always lots of fish, and sometimes there's a multi-species of fish that you can catch while you're fishing for these great walleyes out here. I've fished tournaments on here. I do ice fishing vacation schools out here, take people. So it's a mecca for, catching fish all season long.
Walleye are abundant here in Saginaw Bay, and they're so much fun to fish for. Of course, when you select the right lure, life in the boat is much more fun and enjoyable. With the right bait, the GPS and fish finder, and if you go out with expert guides, you should have a good catch.
Ooh, we got one on the outside board.
The wily walleye presents a challenge even to experienced fishermen, but that's what makes them so much fun to catch. The harder they are to catch, the more fun it becomes.
But that's what we're out here after, and we'll catch a few more here today. Throw them in the live well and make somebody dinner tonight.
Walleye are hermit-like, and when the sun is out, they hang out around underwater structures, sunken islands, or weed beds. When they are feeding, they like to do it when it's dark or when the water is cloudy or choppy. Saginaw Bay is host to a number of amateur and professional bass and walleye fishing tournaments, such as Shiver on the River and many more in all 4 seasons.
We do a lot of local tournaments. I run the Michigan Walleye Tour, which by no means is a pro circuit. There's some misconception there that these guys are pro anglers. They're amateur anglers, they're weekend anglers. They're these same guys that fish with Mark as co-anglers, but they're looking for a starting platform to start their tournament career on, and the Michigan Walleye Tour gives them just that. It's a very professional, organized event with all the publicity and hype of the big tournaments, just with guys that are wanting to get into fishing. And it's a great way to learn. If you want to learn about walleye fishing, get into a couple tournaments. You'll think you knew it all until you start fishing some tournaments, and then that will definitely make you a more well-rounded walleye angler.
But experienced fishermen do not despair, for soon after they let the lines out again, they're quick to net a couple of good catches to add to the live well.
It's a walleye too, how about that?
There are a number of charter boats that go out into Saginaw Bay with experienced, knowledgeable captains and crew to guide new and experienced anglers to where the walleyes can be found. Many of them promise pure, unadulterated, and non-stop fishing action on most of their charter trips.
That's a good one, Ernie. Good job.
The day on the bay is proving quite successful as we continue to look for trophy-sized walleye.
And that's a very typical Saginaw Bay walleye year-round, where you catch thousands of these, and catch them is no big deal. That's an antifreeze blade for those that don't know, and it's basically just the color of antifreeze. Excellent color out here all summer long, and always a consistent producer.
There is also a long history of ice fishing on the bay and rivers. The pleasure and passion for it remain the same, though there have been modern advancements in the equipment and modes of transportation out to your favorite spot. It's a good idea to use a shanty or wind shelter on the bay because with the open expanses, even the slightest wind can make you cold in a hurry. You'll want to bring your ice auger too, because the ice thickness can get close to 30 inches in a cold winter. Whatever fishing season you prefer, and whatever species you're planning to catch, the Great Lakes Bay region is guaranteed to give you a great experience.
Another walleye. Looking good for the frying pan?
Have you ever wondered if you could sail your own boat? Look no further than the Saginaw Bay Sailing Association. It goes without saying, the Saginaw Bay Community Sailing Association is all about sailing. Anyone visiting Saginaw Bay has to marvel at the sight of sailboats gracefully gliding across the water. The Saginaw Bay Community Sailing Association offers an annual Try Sailing Day with free sailboat rides to anyone that wants to experience the joys of sailing. One of its most popular programs is its summer sailing lessons.
To take lessons, you do not need to be a member. Although for the kids, if the kids take an intro class, then we give them a one-year membership in the association so they come down and practice some sailing during our membership open sailing program. What we started today was they learned how to tie some knots, because obviously a sailboat has a lot of ropes or lines on it they need to tie correctly. So we practice knots each day. Then they go down and rig a boat. Each of them has their own 8-foot Optimus pram. And then the instructor sets up a course for the day's exercise. Each of our classes runs 3 hours a day, and our introductory classes like this are from 9 to 12, 4 days a week for 2 weeks. So you got a total of 24 hours of instructions in a particular class session. Our aim is to make sailing affordable and accessible, and I think we're succeeding in doing that.
Perhaps after your sailing lessons, you will be ready to enter the sailboat races on Saginaw Bay. The Bay City Yacht Club is the center of Inner Saginaw Bay sailboat racing. It's the home to Lightning Fleet 216 and has an active Wednesday night fundraising program as well as a more competitive weekend series.
We call it beer can racing because it's more informal. We just race with the mainsail and a jib sail, so it's a little bit easier racing, so to speak. And it's only just under a 3.5 mile course too, so we're only actually racing for, depending on the wind, maybe 40 minutes to an hour and a half on a slow day. The boat's in good breeze, you're probably sailing in the 6 to 8 knot range. Some of the bigger boats can, get going much faster, 12 knots, but weekend racing, when you can fly a spinnaker, then speed potential goes up a little bit there too.
The sailors, we're a social group. Part of what we do, every Wednesday is a social event for us. That's why it's beer can racing. It's, my mom comes out to race with us and she's 80.
Sailing is one of those things, like for me, a good friend of mine, well actually a friend of ours now, John Kuhn, he took me sailing. I just went on a whim. I worked with him and he said, "You want to go sailing one night?" And it sounded intriguing, and one trip and I was just instantly hooked. And I'm sure there's people in between, but I think with sailors you're either very passionate about it or you're probably not into it at all. There's not a lot of people that are in between, and those of us that are passionate, that's who you see out here on Wednesday nights, every Wednesday. Doesn't matter what the weather's doing, we just love it. Can't get enough.
Grab your binoculars and meet with other racing sailboat fans to watch the frequently hosted regional regattas. See if you can identify who is sailing into the lead. You have seen all the ways to explore the rivers and lakes. Which would you choose for your adventure on the Great Lakes Bay Waterway? Would you pick the kayaks for a leisurely trip down the Chippewa River? How about leaving the driving to Johnny Panther Quest for an adventure on the Everglades of Michigan? Or are you the adventurous type and want to sail the inland seas on a tall ship, or possibly a modern-day sailing rig for the Great Lakes? If you love walleye fishing, your choice is going to be the perfectly rigged Lund that Mark Martin fishes in. Maybe your dream is a bass boat for fishing on Sanford Lake. Well, we want to know what your favorite is, and we've set up an online voting page for your choices. Let us know your favorites, and we'll post your vote and opinion online. If you would like to learn more about the waterways of Great Lakes Bay after watching today's show, order a free information packet from the contact information on your screen. Also, let us know what you thought about today's show by visiting our website and filling out the form. While there, be sure to make use of the Great Lakes Bay travel planner we put together for you. There are videos, pictures, and links for area information to guide you to the great places and events we showed you today. We invite you to come back often to our Facebook page, where pictures are posted daily of our adventures, and there is news about upcoming shows. Be sure to read our guests' insightful comments and leave your own. Watch for our live feeds of the events and activities of the places we are visiting. Follow our posts on Twitter and Pinterest. check out our YouTube channel where you can watch segments of your favorite shows. Your online adventure will be just the start of your next great getaway.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed today's show. We had a great time traveling around the Great Lakes Bay waterways, but Wendy, why did you bring me back to the Outfitters?
There is so much more to do in the Great Lakes Bay region. We gotta get shopping and get moving.
Oh, and get the credit card out. Hey, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. Let's go.
Production of Great Getaways is made possible by Rocky's Great Outdoors. Located in Burton, Michigan, Rocky's carries a complete line of motorcycles, snowmobile, camping, and hiking gear, including canoes and kayaks. State Building Company, serving mid-Michigan for over 50 years, with quality windows, insulation, roofing, and siding, including complete residential and commercial remodeling. Forward Corporation, operating over 30 complete convenience centers, motels, and restaurants across Northeast Michigan.